Hey, Hamlet, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. Tell us who you are, what you do.
I'm Hamlet Azarian. I'm the founder, CEO of Azarian Growth Agency. We work with mid-market and venture-backed startups. We help build out their go-to-market strategies.
Awesome. Accidental agency owner. How'd you get started?
I wish it was accidental, but that's not, it was intentional. And I know us agency owners, looking back on it, some of us accidentally get into it. For me, the way it started is I was working with different VCs, and they initially brought me as a high paid consultant to helping build out their portfolio companies at the early stage. So this is when they barely have received a check. They hardly have any money. So if it was really intended to be an agency, it's probably the worst area to start at. This is like at the pre-product stage. I would help them build out sort of product validation. And we did that for a while. And a few of these companies ended up doing well. One of them eventually ended up raising a total of $150 million, had offices in LA, Mexico City, and Colombia. Another one became the second largest privately held brand in its category, and it's still in operation today. And the third pretty much became a unicorn. So the success of those three things led to other VCs taking a notice and asking me to basically start an agency.
That's awesome. Oh, I call that accidental. Right? Like we knew how to do something cool. Someone offered us money and because they wanted our help. You have a interesting model, right? There's always a debate between do I hire seasoned pros in the agency or do I train them up, build them up, and hopefully keep them? Yours is, tell us a little bit about it because yours is kind of build them up.
Yeah. So I've always believed that to be successful in business, you need to have a growth mindset and you need to be infinitely curious, particularly related in what we do, which is growth marketing. And in the life of an agency owner, as we all know, anything we do today is already old by tomorrow. I can give you a tactic that can give you a strategy, but it's so easily replicable that we're all going to execute it and we're going to have to come up with the next one. So this curiosity has led me to always seek people who always want to constantly learn. And what a better way to do that is through teaching. So, the way I did that is I initially started Azarian Growth Academy. So we provide different courses and curriculum teaching the foundations of what we do. I also have a monthly webinar series called our Growth Lab webinar series, where we kind of go inside our playbooks per se, and we open up all the different strategies we have and how we go to different marketing. So that also is another world of education. I do Udemy courses. I have over 4,000 students that have taken the courses, online. And then on top of that, we do an internship within our that you come in and you kind of learn through and become a growth marketer. So education is critical for us. It also helps me provide clarity to the team on why the strategies work and why are we doing these tactics and so on and so forth.
So, how long does it take from them coming in from an internship to get more seasoned?
I'll give you a story. We've had two really incredible success stories, right? So one would be, they probably won't like it if I share their name, so I won't. So we'll call it Jessica. So just for,
Okay.
as her name is not Jessica, we'll just call it Jessica. So she initially started as an intern while I was teaching basically with one of the VCs, and she came in through that program and she worked with me for about 4 weeks or so, and she left. And then this is before I had started the agency. When I started the actual agency and put up the shingle, she was the fourth or fifth applicant, by the way. And as soon as I saw her apply, I hired her. I'm like, I've already worked with her. She was part of the internship program. It was like unnecessary to do anything with her, really. I knew what she didn't know. And I knew what I knew, but more importantly, I knew her aptitude of learning and I knew her desire to become great. So that's what I really hired for. Was the passion and the drive and the curiosity and the growth mindset. Fast forward within 6 months, she already knew how to run paid ads. She already knew basic SEO strategy. Within 9 months, she was already comfortable enough to be in front of clients and speak with them. Within a year, she was already leading strategies on her own. And within 2 years, she was already leading teams. And in 3 years, she was already a senior growth team lead within our organization, leading departments. And she was young, right? She was straight out of, actually, when she started, she was still in college. She was a senior. And so 2 years out of school, and she's already leading departments. So that to me is an incredible success story of what you can do if you're willing to provide the right type of person, the opportunity for them to be able to learn and really understand the inner workings of everything that you're doing.
Yeah, for the advancement, right? Like I always look at it as, for my team in the past, there was always like two tracks, right? And I kind of treat it almost as like the military, where you have the officer track, right, which is the manager track, and you have the unenlisted, which is kind of like the skilled labor, right? They love the website building or graphic designer, that kind of stuff, and they just want to get better and be more of a specialist rather than manage people. And what we would do is we would outline what they need to do in order to get to the next level. And it wasn't based on time. It was more based on doing their job now and then doing that job. And then so they would move up. Is that kind of the similar style that you guys have? Or is it more of you've been here a year, then you move up?
No, it's more like we're very generous on compensation and rewarding system based off of outcomes and ability to adapt skills, right? So if you are really good at and can pick up new skills, and we don't wait a year and say, okay, now it's time for your official review, and well, now you have a new title and you should get a bump up. The reality is like some people shine faster than others. Some people learn quicker than others, and you want to bring that A talent in that wants to be rewarded for their ability to become great, right? So you don't want to limit their upside potential by saying, oh, you've only been with me for 6 months, so you're not necessarily ready. You always want to make sure they are ready for the new position and the new role. And the way you do that, is if you see that, at least what I try to do, if I see elements of that, I have them do it behind the scenes, right? So they might work on not necessarily the current client that they're managing. They might work on an agency project per se. And that will allow me to, if they make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. It's only something for the agency, right? It's not going to hurt the client's business, but they'll give them the opportunity to learn how to build this particular skill set in a real life application. And then they can be coached from that and groomed from that.
Hi there, agency owners. Let me ask you, are you ready to scale your agency without increasing your overhead costs? If yes, then you need to know about E2M Solutions. Now, E2M is the #1 most reliable white label partner for agencies. They specialize in web design, WordPress development, e-commerce, SEO, and content writing. They basically do all the heavy lifting, which frees you up to focus on growing your agency. Now, here's the best part. E2M is just not another vendor. With over 10 years of experience, their team of over 300 experts has a track record of delivering for more than 300 agencies. They're your strategic partner. They deliver on time every time, so you can focus on what you do best. Now, E2M's mission is simple: to help 500 agencies increase their revenue and profit margins with white label services that actually work. And to help you get started, they're offering a special deal, 10% off for the first 3 months, but act fast because it's only a limited time offer. So head over to e2msolutions.com/smartagency to check out their transparent and their flexible pricing. Trust me, if you're ready to grow without burning out, E2M is the partner you've been looking for. That's e2msolutions.com/smartagency. Go check them out and tell them Jason Swank sent you. I know a lot of people that are listening, they go, man, I need people in the right seat right now.
I do too. That problem doesn't know.
So is it more of like a hybrid model? Like you have kind of this, I don't want to say, minor league team, and then you have people in the majors, and then you're kind of building the minor league team up. and building that talent, and then you bring them to the majors? Is that kind of how the organization's structured?
Listen, if you have a successful agency, as we all aspire to, and we all want to have, people at the end of the day, even with agentic AI, even with everything happening in innovation around content production, right? In regards to email marketing, in design, the reality is we still need people. That is not going to go away, right? The success of an agency fundamentally is not on our ability to acquire clients. The reason people are hiring us is because we know how to go get clients, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't have an agency. So the success really is predicated on your ability to bring in talented people onto the team, provide an environment for them to be able to develop and nurture, and want to stay and be part of something great. And whatever great is defined for you might not necessarily be the same definition for them. So, and to be humble enough to understand that. So, it might be for someone to be able to balance work life and be able to go on a trip with their family, right? And be able to get up and go, let's say, to Italy, but at the same time, know that there's a client deadline and be able to say, you know what, for an hour or two, I can step away and make sure that this part of the project is not going to come to a crash. But thank you for honoring my ability to go on vacation during this time, because this is when my kids would have vacation too, right? So like that flexibility, I think, matters for a lot of people. And others, you have to understand what they want and really zoning in on what makes them happy and providing that environment.
In the mastermind, we're constantly always talking around this particular topic for the agencies that really kind of train people up from ground zero to the penthouse. And a lot of times with the younger generation, they have a sense of the grass is always greener on the other side. And you train them up to the penthouse, and then they jump ship. And then you invested a ton of time into this individual, and they leave and they take that expertise somewhere else.
That is going to happen. And going back to Jessica's story, that she did leave, right? So it does get to a point where they do leave, but I think the reality is, if you've done an amazing job of developing them, not only as a gifted marketer, but as a true human being, and they leave on friendly terms, they are going to go develop and become a great marketer within whatever organization that they've gone to. And that is an element of win for you anyways. So that might even turn into a referral source for you, or that might even later on down the line, them wanting to come back, right? And saying, hey, actually what I had here was a little bit better, or circumstances are going to change. Or for them to be able to tell a cohort of people that they run into, hey, by the way, the reason I'm so good at what I do is because I started here. This company was able to develop this. So those are the mind shift changes that I think we need to take as everyone. You can't control where people stay for the long term, right? But what you can control is how they feel about the experience that they've had, and making sure that that experience is a positive one that will naturally have other benefits around that.
And it's hard to, when I think back at myself coming out of college, I went to go work for Arthur Andersen on the programming and consulting side, not the accounting side for the old people that remember them. And I thought, the goal was always to go to college, get a good job, stay with that company. But then I was like, man, like when you in your 20s, you don't know jack shit. And you don't know who you are. You don't know who you're actually going to become. And so like when I look back at where I was when I came out of school at 21, and then starting the agency like when I was 22, or even when I sold the agency in 35, like so much delta and life lessons between of like, I think of just for myself of going, oh my gosh, how could I train? Like, that's why I look at your model. I'm like, that's awesome. I love it. Like, I wish I could have figured that out. I just didn't have the patience, because I was like, I'm going to train out all these people. They're going to figure out like, I need to go do something else. And then I'm like, I wasted all this time. But, that's what I was telling you kind of in the pre-show is like, there's 1,000 ways to grow an agency. You just got to figure out, like, listen to all the stories and be like, man, like, I really dig what Hamlet just said about this. Like, that fits me. For me, it doesn't, but that's totally okay, right? Like, there's a million ways to do things. You just got to figure it all out. That's why when we were talking before the show, I was like, oh yeah, let's go down this rabbit hole because it's so interesting. It's so foreign to me. It makes it so interesting.
Honestly, there isn't an easy answer to anything that we do, right? Like
No,
you
there's
can
not.
you can try to hire experience, but then over time, experience sometimes doesn't adapt quick enough, right? Or they're set in their ways, and then that also becomes an issue, especially in our type of business where we're like early stage startups, rapid experimentation. Things have to move. Things don't have to be perfect when you launch, right? You're going to iterate through that. You can try to say, okay, let me silo and get a specialist that's really, really, really good at one thing. And then, but even then, that doesn't sometimes work out either. So I think just having the flexibility, that realizing that you need to surround yourself around good people that share the same values, that share the same beliefs, that are looking for the same thing every day, which for us, it's, getting up in the morning and learning one thing new. That's really our just general belief. Like, hey, what are you going to do one thing today that you did better than yesterday? And it's something new that you learned today. And you want to share that with people. And having that just pure curiosity, I think at least allows you to be surrounded by people that you're happy to go to work with every day.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's where I was going to kind of go is at the end of the day, it's all about what are your values that you hold very true to your heart, right? People call them core values, but it's really kind of like, what are the things that you believe in? So, put people in the mastermind or how we hire people, they have to have all similar values of being resourceful, sharing knowledge, not being afraid to fail, be able to communicate. But well, this has all been a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming on. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you think would benefit the agency owners listening in?
No, I think you covered, the core issue that I think we all deal with it, which is humans and people and teams, and how do we find the best talent or how do we develop and build them? And thank you for having me on the show, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And for everyone listening, if you enjoyed it, and look, running an agency is lonely as hell. And if you ever want to be around really cool agency owners talking about really cool stuff, so you're not alone, let us know. You know where to reach us. We'd love to chat with you and see how we can help you out. And until next time, have a swank day.